Afternoon, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, I'm going to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray that the Most High blesses this lesson today and gives us a much deeper understanding of the events of the past and the events that are coming on the earth today and the changes that are soon to rock this world. Yesterday when I was making that video talking about Apocalypse and the revealing, during that video, the Most High opened my eyes to understand Psalms 83 at a much deeper level. Before, I hadn't seen the connections between the Book of Mormon and the covenant with the people and Psalms 83 and the other nations until I was in the middle of that video. I wanted to come back, or the Most High had the Spirit push me to make another video today in order to kind of go a little bit deeper into that subject matter of Psalms 83 and the hidden ones. When you only use the Bible, you are trying to make absolutely everything fit the narrative. And we used to believe that Psalms 83 and the hidden ones was just talking about the Hebrews who had lost their language and lost their their understanding of who they were. But it's much deeper than just that. We had lost our heritage, we had lost our lands, and the whole world has been confederate to keep that knowledge from us. They've come up with this whole charade of Columbus didn't know where he was going, didn't know what he found. But in his own writings, he said he knew exactly what he was coming over here for. The lie had to be set up that this land, there was no one, or the people that were here were all killed. So therefore, they were able to take possession of the land, and there was no recompense for that. In order to be able to believe the lie and enjoy the short blessing that they had to set up an entire fake history. And they had to keep this lie going the entire time. But now that we're coming back into the knowledge and understanding, because we're at the end of our punishment, and the Most High is now sending the Holy Spirit to give us that understanding again, everything is becoming all too clear. People that are still stuck on the Bible only and still stuck on thinking they got to try to make every single thing fit into the 80 books that was given to us by the Edomites, or proved for us by the Edomites, they're sadly mistaken if you think that you have 100% truth with only those 80 books. When the Most High is going to show you right now that you needed the Book of Nephi in order to be able to put the puzzle pieces together to understand who the whole world was confederate against. There wasn't just the Southern Kingdom. They've been confederate against the Northern Kingdom. And when a lot of these brethren who only use the Bible have just pretty much pushed the whole Northern Kingdom to the side, they haven't looked at the pain and the suffering that they've dealt with since 1492. They just kind of gloss that over and say, well, you know, Judah's had it worse. The Southern Kingdom's had it worse. But then they don't look at all of the suffering that the Northern Kingdom has gone through. But let's take a look real quick here at the Psalms 83. And then we're going to go ahead and put it together with some other writings, as well as some other historical documentation, in order to get a much deeper understanding of Psalms 83 and the hidden ones. Here it is right here. Psalm 83. Let's start at 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. The whole world has come together against the ones that were hidden over here in these lands. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Now, Israel, of course, can mean all 12 tribes, but it could also just mean the northern kingdom. They were a nation when in 1492 still. So when they got here, it was still a nation. They still knew who they were. And they were here to cut them off from being that nation once again and taking all of their, all of everything out of their remembrance. So maybe no more remembrance. So there's no more remembrance of the northern kingdom. And even a lot of these brothers who, pretty much just rock with the Bible, they're doing exactly the same thing. They are trying to keep Israel and the northern kingdom out of their remembrance. They'll say things like, well, yeah, we know the northern kingdom was here, but then that's pretty much it. They don't really go into the suffering of the northern kingdom. They don't really go into how the other nations have made a tumult against the northern kingdom as well. They constantly just pretty much concentrate on just the things that have happened to the southern kingdom and just turn pretty much a blind eye to what's happened to their brethren. Which, as you can see, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Just like the ones who still try to say that, 10 or 11 of the tribes are still in Africa only. Again, they're still trying to keep the northern kingdom out of their remembrance. They're still being used for that purpose. Then go to 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The whole world has come together. Your whole United Nations. They've come together. And they're all confederate against the Hebrews, northern and southern kingdom. They have come together so you don't know that they knew that they were fulfilling biblical prophecy. They're all together. They're in one consent. They didn't want to let you know that the end time started in 1492 when they were led over here by the Spirit. They had to make up an entire whole new end times, prophetic movement with the whole Left Behind series and the 7-year tribulation and all of that mess, all that garbage. And it's crazy because still a lot of people, even, the so-called in the truth, are still pushing those same Christian dogmas about the tribulation period, the 7-year tribulation period, but then they pretty much ignore all the things that have happened already to the northern and southern kingdom. Like I said before, what else can they do to us that they haven't already done? They get to do all these things to us for hundreds of years, and then they get to go just, hog wild the last 7 and then do more things to us. Main thing I want to talk about right now is at verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Back in the, 600, pretty much when the Most High had taken the northern kingdom away and brought them over here to these shores, the other nations were not allowed to come over here. They already told you that the world was divided into 4 parts. Let me show you. Well, let me let's go here first before I show you that part. Let's go back to 2nd Nephi. This 2nd Nephi right here totally corroborates and supports Psalms 83. There's a whole section talking about the hidden ones in Psalms 83, where it's kind of left open to conjecture. It's pretty much open to interpretation when you don't have these books, as to the hidden ones just being us not knowing our history. But this is going to tell you we were hidden physically. We were hidden, the 10 tribes were hidden over here in a land over here that the other nations were not allowed to come to and didn't really know anything about. This is going to explain that Psalms 83 and the hidden ones even more in depth. Start at 6. Actually, let's start up right before that. Yea, the Lord hath covenanted this land unto me and to my children forever, and also all those who should be led out of other countries by the hand of the Most High. Wherefore I, Lehi, prophesy, according to the workings of the Spirit which is in me, that there shall none come into this land, save they shall be brought by the hand of the Most High. Wherefore this land is consecrated unto him, whom he shall bring. And if it so be that they shall serve him according to the commandments which he hath given, it shall be a land of liberty unto them. Wherefore, they shall never be brought down into captivity. If so, it shall be because of iniquity. For if iniquity shall abound, cursed shall be the land for their sakes. But unto the righteous it shall be blessed forever. Verse 8 is the key to Psalms 83. And behold, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of the other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, that there would be no place for an inheritance. Huge right there. There's your hidden ones right there. Right there. And behold, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, that there would be no place for an inheritance. That there explains your hidden ones. They were hidden physically in another land that the other nations were not allowed to come to. There's your Psalms 83 right there. These were the ones that the whole world became confederate against and made a tumult against in order to establish a lie. Pretty much anything before Columbus was burned and destroyed. Now you understand why. They tried to say it was because they were practicing some kind of witchcraft or they got upset about something, so they wanted to burn everything. But they followed the exact same demons that we were following. So what exactly would have made them so upset that they would have burned all of the records? No, the reason the records were burned was because they wanted to come up with their whole agenda was to pretty much come up with an entirely new history for us. And they couldn't do that with our records. So they had to burn all of our information so they could make up their own fictitious history and classification of our people. So again, look at 8. And behold, it is wisdom that this land should be kept as yet from the knowledge of the other nations. For behold, many nations would overrun the land, and there would be no place for an inheritance. Okay? Look at 9. Wherefore I, Lehi, have obtained a promise, that inasmuch as those whom the Most High shall bring out of the land of Jerusalem shall keep his commandments, they shall prosper upon the face of this land, and they shall be kept from all other nations, that they may possess this land unto themselves. And if so be that they shall keep his commandments, they shall be blessed upon the face of this land. All right? And there'll be no one to molest them. So pretty much, like I said, as long as we were keeping the commandments, we would stay hidden. We would be the hidden ones that was talked about in Psalms 83. And the Gentiles knew this. And I'm going to show you that they knew this. They would call this land the fourth part. They knew of the 3, but the fourth part they had no knowledge of. So this is the information, and this is the perspective of our Hebrew Israelites right here. Now we're going to take a look at some historical documents that shows you the from the point of view of the Gentiles. All right, right here. I just love this this quote. I know I've used it multiple times, but it's so true. Now we're looking at this from the point of view of the Gentiles. The earth is placed in the central region of the cosmos, standing fast in the center, equidistant from all other parts of the sky. It is divided into 3 parts, one of which is called Asia, the second Europe, the third Africa. Apart from these 3 parts of the world, there exists a 4th part beyond the ocean, which is unknown to us. Now, Isidore de Seville, etymologist, I looked him up. He's actually, I want to say, an archdeacon in the Catholic Church. He's actually, he was a saint. He's a saint in the Catholic Church. So like I said, the Catholic Church knew all too well the scriptures, knew about the 4th part, knew about this land that was hidden away from them, that was consecrated to the Hebrews. They were well aware of all this information. This is from 600 AD, 800 plus years before Columbus was going to be led over to the other nations. They already knew that the world was divided into 4 parts. You see that? So it wasn't that they didn't know, they knew there was a land on the other side of the ocean that they were not allowed to get to. They knew there was a people over there that they were not allowed to get to. You see, that's what happens after 1492. They had to play. Yeah, they want to play the dumb role. Well, we don't know what lands these are. We don't know what people are here. We don't know anything. We just know for sure they're not Hebrews, and we're for sure that this isn't the chosen, the promised land. You see that, and you got a lot of our own people even today. Oh no, man, you're crazy. This isn't the promised land. They don't give me any proof. They just pretty much just give me nothing but an opinion because they don't have any proof. Because they don't look at anything else. There's all this documented history that shows that the Gentiles were well aware that there was a land on the other side of the ocean that they could not get to that was considered the fourth part, which would be the promised land. That's why when Columbus was coming over here, he was looking for Eden. He was looking for Jerusalem. He was looking for a lot of biblical sites that were not over there. And the other three parts. Is it all coming together now, family? Is it all starting to make more sense now? Check this out. There's more. This book right here, Columbus and the Quest for Jerusalem, How Religion Drove the Voyages That Led to America. They give a little bit of information here. It's nothing is as good as going to the primary source. Nothing is as good as going to Columbus himself. And if they actually did that, it would be pretty much indisputable that he knew he was going to come over here. He was going to find these lands, and that they were going to pretty much destroy the inhabitants over here. Because they knew that was written in history, in the biblical accounts, and prophecy, I meant to say. But they don't want that narrative. They want the narrative of, these lands, we didn't know, we found them on accident. We were actually trying to find a trade route to Asia. We just stumbled upon these lands. We didn't know they were here. How is that possible when you're getting quotes like this from an archdeacon in the Catholic Church about the fourth part, that's unknown to them? And then they play the dumb role. Well, we don't know who are the 10 tribes. Oh, the 10 tribes went up to Europe. Britain is part of the tribes. I mean, I'm sitting here listening to some of these other people, these Christians and Jewish people that are still talking about how, the Holy Land's over there and the 10 tribes are up in Europe. The Europeans are the 10 tribes now. I said, all the other nations play the dumb role. They want to be on top and making all the decisions, but they want to play the dumb role all the time. Well, we don't know, where these lands came from, or we don't know which people are here, but hey, we knew they came over on a land bridge. They get to make up all these theories like they're facts, and they teach them like they're facts. I want to show you something here. Columbus knew about the world being broken into 4 parts as well. How did he know that? Because he was consulting with these priests. See, they knew that Columbus was, he doesn't have a holiday for finding or discovering the new world. They knew that this land was already over here. He gets a holiday because the Most High used him to be the trailblazer for them to be able to come over here. He was used by the Most High to open the door for the Gentiles to come over. That's what they're celebrating. They're not celebrating the fact that he found a new world. They're celebrating the fact that the Most High sent the Spirit to him and gave him a path to come over here in order for them to be able to come over here and rape, rob, murder, and steal. That's why they celebrate him. Not because he found a world that already had hundreds of millions of people already here. They already knew this land was here. My brother, was reading this, and he actually, put me onto this right here as he was doing some research, and he figured he made the one that made the connection between the fourth part from that quote to this book, and he shared this with me, so I wanted to share it with the family. All right. So my brother, the 12, he had in fact come upon the Orinoco River on what we know as the South American continent. If he imagined he had found a fourth part in the world, or of the world, he was not ready to say so, as it would have challenged the conventional and canonical view. Now see, this woman here is telling you what Columbus was thinking. They do that so much. They think they're slick. Remember, like, Paul wrote this, but he meant that. How do you know what someone's thinking? Hundreds of years later, you haven't met this person. You don't know what they're thinking, but they put their opinions on everything. He knew he was being brought to the fourth part. If you actually just read what he says, he knew where he was being brought to. He's being brought to the fourth part. That was part of biblical prophecy. But this person here wants to say, oh no, he didn't think he found that part. Let me read it again. He had in fact come upon the Orinoco River on what we know as the South American continent. If he imagined he had found a fourth part of the world, he was not ready to say so, as it would have challenged the conventional and canonical view. Instead, he probably thought he had found a part of Asia, okay, unknown to ancient authorities whom he cites, or to Marco Polo, or simply not yet explored by Europeans. So you like that? Oh, he probably, again, conjecture, again, your opinion. See that? He knew he found the fourth part, and I'm going to give you an example of that shortly. Okay, but I thought that part right there, the fourth part, we know exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about the promised land. They're talking about the land they were kept away from. They're talking about the hidden ones that you're talking about there in Psalms 83. Let me see here. All right, let me go to the next one I want to talk about. Here we go. Now, to let you know that these people know that once they were brought over here, this was the beginning of the end times. They already knew this, but like I said, they want to play the dumb role all the time. They want to act like, hey, we don't know anything about anything. Check out the middle paragraph right there. The widely held belief that the terrestrial paradise would be found only near the end times was part of the medieval Christian interpretation of the story of Enoch and Elijah. You see, this was the beginning of the end times, the beginning of our last captivity. And they knew this. Let me continue. These two figures from Genesis were associated with the two witnesses in Revelations 11 and 3, thought to be waiting in the garden until the end time, when they were prophesied to fight the Antichrist. Having found the terrestrial paradise must have confirmed Columbus's belief that the end was nigh, and that his enterprise was the beginning of the fulfillment of prophecy. The extraordinary discovery of the terrestrial paradise was the first step in the apocalyptic drama. He hoped this event would spur the Spanish sovereigns to take the next steps. So he already knew he found paradise. He had found, the promised land. He already knew that. But see, if you go back to the other page, he tried to make it sound like, well, if he did find the promised land, he wasn't ready to admit it. See, they're speaking out of both sides of their mouths. And I got much more. I mean, I said, this information is just flowing. I said, the Holy Spirit is just, she is just revealing so much information, giving us so much more understanding, that it's really easy now to see the people that are with us and the ones that have been set up to pretty much be roadblocks for our people. I mean, look at it right here. They knew, this is a Christian view, that when they found this land right here, that it was the beginning of the end times. See, you got the whole world thinking, well, the end times are going to happen later on. There's all these end times are going to happen later. The Antichrist is going to stand up and he's going to, they're going to have to build a third temple. And then the Antichrist has to, come on, man. I said, that has nothing to do with this awakening. Again, let me read that middle to top. The widely held belief that the terrestrial paradise would be found only near the end time was part of the medieval Christian interpretation of the story of Enoch and Elijah. So like I said, they knew there was a fourth part. They were not allowed to come here. They knew that eventually we were going to mess up. Once we messed up, they were going to be brought over there. Once they were brought over there, that was the beginning of the end times. Now, see, they didn't want people to understand this, so Psalms 83. They all come together as a whole world, and they all become confederate to pretty much, to go against this understanding and this information. They hid it all so that they could have their way with the hidden ones and the hidden lands. Making sense? And we got a lot of people who look like us who are Confederate with these people as well, who are still trying to push. These aren't your lands. You guys were never here. Hamites were here, and all your tribes are still over in Africa. This should really let you know who the Most High is really dealing with and who he's not. This is an example here of a primary source. This is what Columbus wrote in his book about Columbus's book on the prophecies. So Christopher Columbus's Book of Prophecies, page 239. Again, Baruch 4. This is what he used as justification for him being able to find these lands. He brought a distant nation down on them, a ruthless nation, speaking a foreign language. They showed neither respect for the aged nor pity for the child. So it's kind of hard to tell the whole world that you found this place on accident when you have all these writings from Columbus saying that he came over here on purpose, that he was brought over here by the Most High in order to fulfill these prophecies. Kind of difficult to try to play the innocent role when you have all this documentation all over the place saying that, yeah, we know about the 3 parts, the 4th part's hidden from us. Kind of hard to, play the dumb role and the innocent role when, they know that this land was covenant to us and that, yeah, we were given to them, but they went way overboard with the destruction. Then that's when they got over here and said, well, we don't know who built anything here. We burned all their records, so therefore now we don't know anything about anything. We burned all their codexes, all their records, everything we could get our hands on. We burned it so we can make up our own history. Because why? The whole world was Confederate against these people. And they still are even to today. Yeah, we don't know who built any of this stuff. It's just all these magnificent buildings and, all these things that are here. We don't know who built any of it. Hold on. Is that some of their records? Just make sure we burn all those so we can keep on saying we don't know anything about anything. Oh, no, all these black people here, they all came from Africa. All these people of color here, yeah, no, they all came from Africa. They're all the same. They're all Hamites. See how absolutely ridiculous this is. Now you should understand the depth of Psalms 83. Let me read that again at Psalms 83:2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They hate us. They hate that the Most High chose us. They hate that the Most High made a covenant with us. So once they knew we messed up, they love the fact that the Most High gave them their opportunity to destroy us. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. The whole world came together and consulted with, well, how can we get these people to, pretty much forget everything about their past, forget who they are, forget that these are their lands, forget that the Most High made a covenant with them, forget that eventually he's going to come back and raise them back up again. How are we going to get them to love us and support us and, and do everything for us if they know that eventually the Most High is going to raise them back up again and put them back on top? Well, we're going to have to pretty much just destroy all understanding of who they are, all information of who they are, pretty much say that we don't know who built anything, pretty much have to educate them with all the information that we want to give them. And if we need to, we'll put some people that look like them out there so that, of course, another black person or another person of color wouldn't lie to you, right? You don't want to believe us? That's fine. Believe the person that looks like you. He wouldn't lie to you, right? Like there's no coons out here who'll just take money and take whatever and say whatever it is you want to say. I crack up still with a lot of people who are like, well, all Negroes are this. When I've always said Abraham had at least 10 kids between his first wife, second wife, and concubines. So those kids are all going to look alike. So now you got 9 other lines that don't have anything to do with the chosen people. So trust me, the enemy has plenty of people that aren't part of our group, aren't part of the chosen people, that they can trot out there and lead you astray. Even 2/3 of our own people aren't into this and can be used to lead us astray. That's why you have to test the spirit of everyone. We were talking about how Babylon is the church and it's not America. This is a great book I read many years ago. The Two Babylons, or the papal worship, proved to be the worship of Nimrod, the original Babylonians. If you want to know, I said, what's up with the two Babylons, the one of old and the one still here today? This would be a great book for you to take a look at. So now I think we have a much better understanding of the depth of this deception. Remember that Psalms 83 and 3 and 4. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. The name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The whole world was confederate to keep us from knowing who we are, and to keep us from knowing that this is our land, and to keep us from knowing that the Most High is going to restore everything that was taken from us. The Most High is moving to restore that covenant. First things first is he has to awaken his people. And he's going to awaken up the Gentiles that are called into this as well. And then we know the rest. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.